The sun is setting on Heartland. The wind whispers through the trees and the ranch stands still, but the air feels heavy. It's a place full of memories, memories of love, loss, and everything in between. For Amy, it's a place that no longer feels like home. As the world moves on, she's stuck in the past, unable to move forward after the loss of Ty. But change is coming. A new family is about to walk through the gates of Heartland, and everything will be different. Can Amy find the strength to let go and make room for something new? Or will the heartbreak keep her from healing? The morning sun peeks over the horizon, casting a soft glow across the Heartland ranch. It's quiet, almost too quiet. Amy Fleming walks across the fields, the familiar dirt beneath her boots, the steady rhythm of her steps the only sound breaking the silence. But even the land she's known her whole life feels foreign. The beauty of Heartland, the place where she grew up, seems to be slipping through her fingers. It's as if the ranch itself knows what she refuses to admit. Nothing will ever be the same again. Amy's face is a mask of sorrow, eyes distant and lost. She stops near the stables, her hand brushing against the wooden door, but there's no warmth in the gesture. It's a memory of the past, a memory of Ty. His absence is like a shadow she can't outrun. Every corner of Heartland holds a piece of him, his laughter, his smile, the way he used to look at her with such love. But now all that's left is silence. She closes her eyes for a moment, trying to shut out the flood of emotions rushing in. But it's impossible. The pain cuts deep, and it always will. No matter how many times she tries to push it away, it's there, lingering, never truly gone. "Amy?" A voice calls from behind her, breaking her thoughts. She turns to see Lou standing in the distance, a soft concern written across her face. It's the same look everyone gives her now, sympathy, pity, but never the understanding she needs. "Are you okay?" Lou asks, stepping closer. Her tone is gentle, but there's an edge of worry underneath. Amy doesn't answer right away. She's not sure what to say. How do you explain a grief that won't leave you? How do you tell someone that you're not okay when you're not even sure what that looks like anymore? Instead, Amy simply nods, forcing a weak smile. "I'm fine," she says, though the words sound hollow even to her own ears. Lou doesn't push, but the concern doesn't leave her eyes. She knows Amy isn't fine. They all know. But no one can fix what's broken. "We'll get through this, Amy. You're not alone." Lou's words are meant to comfort, but they only make the weight of the loneliness feel heavier. Amy nods again, but deep down, she knows that no one can fix the hole Ty left behind, not even the love of her family. And yet, as she stands there, in the quiet of Heartland, something begins to stir inside of her. Maybe Lou is right. Maybe she doesn't have to do this alone. Maybe, just maybe, there's a way forward. But the thought is hard to hold on to. The future feels like a foreign land, one she's terrified to step into. As Amy turns back toward the house, a new sound breaks the silence, the sound of a car engine rumbling in the distance. She looks up, squinting against the sunlight, and sees a car making its way down the dirt road toward Heartland. It's a car she doesn't recognize. Her heart skips a beat. Who could it be? The car slows as it pulls into the driveway, and Amy watches, confused and uncertain. She doesn't know who these people are, but the moment the car comes to a stop, she knows one thing for sure. Heartland is about to change forever. A man and a young girl step out of the car. The man is tall, with a look of quiet determination in his eyes. The girl is younger, with an expression of curiosity but also a hint of uncertainty. They glance around, taking in the vast land before them. And for a moment, Amy feels the familiar sting of resentment. What are they doing here? As the man approaches the house, he meets Amy's eyes and she forces a polite smile, though it doesn't reach her eyes. She doesn't trust them. Not yet. And she's not sure she ever will. "We're the Turners," the man says, extending his hand. "We've just moved in. This is my daughter, Ella." Amy doesn't take his hand. She's too caught up in her own feelings to offer the warmth of a greeting. The Turners are strangers, and she doesn't know if she's ready for more strangers. to become a part of her life, let alone take their place in the world that Ty and she had built together. "Welcome to Heartland," she says, her voice flat, distant, but she's not sure how welcoming she really feels. As the Turners settle in, Amy's heart races with a mixture of emotions. She can't help but wonder, what does their arrival mean for Heartland? For her? What will happen when the past she's been clinging to starts colliding with the new reality that's unfolding right in front of her? Amy isn't sure she's ready for the answers, but she knows one thing for certain. The journey ahead won't be easy. And no matter how much she tries to fight it, Heartland will never be the same. Heartland has always been more than just a place. It's been a sanctuary, a refuge from the world. Amy has always found comfort in the routine of the ranch, in the rhythm of the horses, and the quiet connection with nature. But lately, it feels like the land itself is out of sync. The vibrant life that once filled every corner of this place now feels muted, like a painting fading in the sunlight. The Turners' arrival is like a thunderclap in the middle of a stormy night. Loud, unexpected, and impossible to ignore. The new family begins to settle in, their presence gradually becoming a constant fixture in Amy's life, even when she wishes they weren't. She watches them with quiet wariness, her emotions tangled up in confusion, resentment, and fear. She doesn't know if she's ready to share Heartland with anyone else. As the days go by, Amy finds herself observing them more closely. The Turners, especially the father, Mark, seem to carry themselves with a quiet strength. But there's an underlying tension that's hard to ignore. He's clearly trying to make a new life for his daughter, Ella, and himself. But the strain of fitting in here on this land that's already so full of memories is evident. Ella, on the other hand, is different. She's younger, more open, more willing to embrace the change. She spends time with the horses, her hands brushing gently against their coats, as though she's already found a part of herself here. But it's not just the horses that draw her in. It's the connection she feels to the land, a land that, for Amy, has become more of a reminder of everything she's lost than a place of healing. One evening, Amy finds herself in the barn, brushing one of the horses, lost in her thoughts as she listens to the rhythmic sound of the animal's breathing. She's startled when she hears footsteps behind her. It's Ella, standing at the door, her small frame hesitant but curious. "Hi," Ella says, her voice soft. "I've been trying to get the horses to trust me, but they seem scared." Amy turns, her expression guarded. But there's something about the girl's vulnerability that catches her attention. For a moment she considers brushing her off, but something inside her stirs. Perhaps it's the memory of her own younger self, the girl who had once sought solace in these same barns, trying to learn how to understand the horses and the ranch in the way that only Heartland can teach. "They're not scared of you," Amy says, her voice more gentle than she expects. "They're just adjusting. It takes time." Ella nods, stepping closer, eyes bright with curiosity. "How long did it take for them to trust you?" Amy hesitates. The question is simple, but the answer feels like a weight she's not sure. She's ready to lift. How long did it take her? She doesn't know anymore. The horses used to be her escape, her safe place, but lately nothing feels safe, not even the ranch. "A while," she says, her voice low. "But you have to be patient with them, and with yourself." Ella looks at Amy, a soft smile forming on her lips. It's the first time in days that Amy sees a genuine smile, something that isn't weighed down by sadness or loss. For a split second, Amy feels a flicker of something like hope, but it vanishes just as quickly as it came. "Thanks," Ella says quietly, looking down at the horse again. She's clearly trying to find her place here, just like Amy once did. But the difference is Ella is open to the idea of belonging. Amy isn't sure if she ever will be. Later that evening, Amy returns to the house, her mind racing. The Turners are settling in faster than she expected. Mark is in the living room with Jack, talking about the land and its history. They seem to be getting along just fine, as though they've known each other for years. Lou is setting the table, trying her best to make everyone feel at home. Amy watches them all for a moment, a lump forming in her throat. It's not that she doesn't want them here, at least that's not what she tells herself. But it's hard to accept that someone else is stepping into the life she and Ty had built. It's hard to accept that things are changing, whether she's ready for it or not. When the conversation dies down, Jack turns to her, his eyes filled with a quiet understanding. "They're good people, Amy," he says, his voice gruff but kind. "I think they could be good for Heartland." Amy forces a smile, though it doesn't reach her eyes. "Maybe." Jack watches her for a moment, then shakes his head. "You can't keep holding on to the past, you know." The words hit harder than she expects. She doesn't respond, but her chest tightens. She knows Jack is right. Everyone knows she's been stuck in grief, stuck in the past. But how do you let go of someone who was your everything? As the night drags on, Amy finds herself standing. The unexpected encounter. The day had started like any other. The sun was shining, birds chirping, and the air was crisp with the coolness of early morning. Jacob, a young man in his mid-20s, set off for a hike in the hills, hoping for a peaceful day away from the noise of the city. He had always found solace in nature, away from the hustle and bustle where the only sounds were his footsteps and the occasional rustle of the wind through the trees. He had no particular destination in mind, just the need to clear his head. As he trekked deeper into the woods, he couldn't help but feel a strange sense of unease. The birds had stopped singing and the wind had gone eerily still. He shrugged it off, blaming it on his overactive imagination. Maybe he was just too used to the chaos of the city, but something didn't feel right. Suddenly, a low hum vibrated through the ground. It wasn't like any sound he had ever heard before. At first, Jacob thought it was just the wind picking up again, but the sound grew louder, almost mechanical. His heart skipped a beat as a strange sensation ran through his body. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up, and he felt an instinctual pull to move forward, as if something was calling to him. He followed the sound through the trees, curiosity overriding the fear that had begun to build in his chest. As he neared the source of the noise, he noticed a clearing ahead. The trees seemed to part in an unnatural way, as though they were guiding him toward something. And then, there it was. In the middle of the clearing, partially hidden among the trees, was a spacecraft. It was like nothing Jacob had ever seen before. The craft was sleek, metallic, and glowed with a soft, pulsating light. It was shaped like a disc, smooth and seamless, with no visible doors or windows. The air around it shimmered with an unnatural energy, and Jacob could feel it pulling him closer. His breath caught in his throat. He wasn't sure if he was hallucinating or if his eyes were deceiving him. But the sight was real. Undeniably real. The spaceship was right in front of him, silent now except for the soft humming sound that seemed to come from deep within its core. As he stood there, frozen in disbelief, a faint movement caught his eye. It was coming from the side of the ship. A figure, small and fragile, was emerging from the wreckage. Jacob's heart pounded in his chest as the figure took a hesitant step forward. It was a girl. At least she looked like a girl, but there was something different about her. Her skin was a pale shade of blue, and her long hair shimmered like strands of silver light. She was unlike any human he had ever seen. Her eyes, wide and glowing, softly, locked onto his. There was a look of confusion and pain on her face, and Jacob instinctively stepped forward, despite the shock that gripped him. The girl stumbled slightly, her knees shaking as she took another step. She was hurt, maybe even badly. Without thinking, Jacob rushed toward her, his hand reaching out. He didn't know what he was doing, only that he couldn't leave her there alone. She was an alien, but she was still in pain, and that made her human in his eyes. As he approached, his mind raced with questions. Who was she? Where had she come from? Why was she here? But before he could say anything, her gaze met his once more, and it was then that Jacob knew. His life was about to change in ways he couldn't even begin to imagine. The alien girl Jacobs Hand hovered in the air, his fingers trembling slightly as he tried to make sense of what was unfolding before him. The girl was standing in front of him now, still unsteady, but her wide eyes never left his face. They were a strange, glowing violet, as if they held the secrets of 1,000 galaxies. Her gaze pierced him, not in a way that was threatening, but in a way that made him feel both small and significant at the same time. The girl's movements were slow and deliberate, like she was testing the gravity of this world beneath her feet. Her alien form stood in stark contrast to the familiar forest around her, almost like she didn't belong. Her skin shimmered under the sunlight, a pale blue that seemed to change with every flicker of light, and her long silver hair flowed behind her like liquid metal. Jacob couldn't speak. Words failed him. He was staring at an extraterrestrial being, and yet, there she was, standing before him in the quiet of the woods. His breath caught in his throat, and for a moment everything felt surreal. Was he dreaming? Or was this really happening? The girl tilted her head slightly, a curious expression crossing her face. She seemed to be studying him just as much as he was studying her. Her eyes flicked to his outstretched hand, then back to his face. There was something about her, something deeply intelligent in the way she observed him, like she could read his thoughts without him saying a word. Jacob, still in a daze, took a hesitant step forward. The forest around him was silent. Eerily so. Even the wind had stopped moving, as if the world itself was holding its breath. His heart raced as the thought struck him. What if this was dangerous? What if I'm making a huge mistake? But before he could retreat, the girl spoke. Her voice was soft, like a whisper in the breeze, but the words were clear. "Do not be afraid," she said. The words were familiar but strange, as if they were both distant and immediate, as if they resonated with some part of his mind that he didn't even know existed. Jacob stood frozen. His mouth went dry, and his instincts told him to run, but his feet refused to obey. The girl's presence felt too important. She wasn't just an alien. She was something else, something that transcended mere existence. "I am not from here," she continued, her voice trembling slightly as she spoke. "But you are familiar." Jacob's mind raced. Familiar? How could she say that? He didn't even know who she was, and yet she seemed to know him. There was a deep weight in her words, something unspoken that made his chest tighten. He opened his mouth to respond, but nothing came out. His mind was scrambling for something to say, some way to bridge the gap between them. But all that came out was a shaky, Are you okay?" The alien girl's eyes softened at the question, and she nodded, though it seemed like her answer was more to reassure him than anything. She looked down at the ground, her gaze momentarily lost in thought before she spoke again. I have come far," she said quietly. "And this place, this world, is different. Your people do not know of us, but we have been watching. And now, I need help." Jacob's heart skipped a beat. Help? What did she need? And why come to him? Of all the places she could have landed, why had she ended up here in the middle of nowhere with him? The girl's eyes met his again, this time with something that could only be described as a plea. She reached out with her trembling hand, not quite touching him, but the motion was clear. "I don't understand everything," she whispered. "But I know. You can help me." Jacob didn't know what she meant, but in that moment, he couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just turned upside down. Whatever was happening, whatever had brought this alien girl to his world, there was no turning back now. The towel moment, Jacob's heart pounded in his chest, but his legs felt like lead. He had to do something, anything. He couldn't just stand there and stare at her. The girl, who wasn't quite human, wasn't exactly alien either. She was somewhere in between, a living paradox that made his mind scramble for any bit of logic he could hold on to. But she needed help. That much was clear. The unspoken plea in her eyes burned through him, and for reasons he couldn't explain, Jacob knew he had to act. So he did the only thing that felt right in that moment. He fumbled through his backpack and pulled out the most basic, most human object he could think of. A towel. It wasn't much, but it was something. Something that could offer comfort. Even if he didn't understand exactly what she needed, he turned toward her, the rough, worn fabric of the towel in his hands, and stepped forward cautiously. "Here," Jacob said, his voice steady but uncertain. I thought you might need this." The girl didn't respond immediately. She just stood there, her gaze locked on the towel, as though it were an object from another world. She tilted her head slightly, the way a cat might look at something foreign, trying to make sense of it. Jacob held it out to her, feeling suddenly foolish. What if this was the wrong thing? What if she didn't understand it? But it was all he had, this simple, everyday object that was as ordinary to him as breathing. Finally, after a long moment, the girl reached out. Her hand was delicate, almost fragile, and she touched the towel with a soft, hesitant motion. Jacob's breath caught. He couldn't tear his eyes away from her. The way she handled it, slow, deliberate, almost reverent, felt like she was inspecting something far more important than just a towel. Her fingers traced the edges of the cloth, pausing every so often as if she were studying the texture, the stitching, the fabric itself. She turned it over in her hands, the look of awe never leaving her face. Jacob felt the awkwardness settle in. What was happening? Was the towel some kind of advanced technology to her? Or did it hold significance beyond his understanding? Then, the moment came that completely froze him. The alien girl stopped, her fingers stilling on the towel, her face shifting from curiosity to something else. Her eyes widened in what seemed like shock, but not the kind of shock he expected. It wasn't fear. It wasn't confusion. It was something deeper. Her whole body stiffened. She took a step back, her feet barely making a sound on the forest floor. Jacob's stomach dropped. The towel fell from her hands,